Welcome to the 2013 SB Nation NCAA Tournament Bracket Spectacular. I am now going to talk the Western region, of course, with Rob Manganaro of South Orange Juice. It makes me want juice. And of Coach Nick from BBallBreakdown. We're going to talk all things Western region. Let's start with the number one seed, Gonzaga. They, of course, out west, even though we've established that you're an anti-West Coastite. What are your immediate thoughts about Gonzaga and a number one?
You know, I'm just concerned about the level of play they've seen all year. You know, just to see such an outlier. If you look at the top 15, 20, 25 strength of schedule, they're a far outlier.
Yes.
So that's a concern moving past the first round.
Good bigs. They're a balanced team. Of course, Mark Few has been in this tournament many a time. Thoughts on Gonzaga?
I love Mark Few. They're a fun team to watch, but after watching them a number of times, I feel like it's the worst number one team I've seen in a while.
Wow.
And
not just this year, in a while.
Yeah, you know, this is what it looks like to me. Although, you know, they do some nice things. They actually press, which a lot of teams do anymore.
Right.
So they do a lot of things like that. They have a really good offense where they motion and they get their good sets. But I just feel like individually, man for man, they don't really have a talent level that would, you know, indicate they would go on a very deep run.
Right, and Pitt is a team that they could see in the next round. Pitt has Wichita State, the Shockers, which I like saying Shockers a whole lot. What types of teams are these? Pitt and Wichita State. Can they challenge Gonzaga early? Pitt, of course, used to seeing a lower number next to their name in this tournament. What type of team are we looking at this year?
Absolutely, they do. I mean, whoever comes out of that, whether it's Wichita State or Pittsburgh, I mean, these are some pretty tough teams that grind it out. You know, I hate to say it, I know you're a West Coaster here, but, you know, the Zags, I think they're going to be a little soft to whoever comes out of that round. So my guess is if it's Wichita State or Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh's going to come out of there. They'll probably get past the Zags.
Interesting. And Wisconsin, the 5 seed down there, right, that a team that could see Gonzaga if they are to get past one of the 8 or 9 seeds. What type of team was Wisconsin? They've beaten a lot of good teams this season in a very tough Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, they are very tough. They run the swing offense, which I'm not a fan of. And, you know, I went to Wisconsin. It's my alma mater.
Right.
And, you know, I don't want to say anything bad about them. However,
you look about 30 pounds too light to have gone to Wisconsin.
That's right. Well, that's why I got out of there.
That's very smart.
And so I'm concerned because they have a hard time scoring.
Okay.
And when you get into the tournament, it's not good enough to have a terrific defense. You need to be able to score the ball a little bit. And when they get in those runs and it turns into like a 50-49 game, I just don't know if they're going to be able to sustain that for more than, you know, the first or second round.
I'm going to be honest. I want Marshall Henderson, the point guard for Ole Miss, who Wisconsin has in the first round. I don't care if they win. I just want him to be a huge a-hole. I just want him to be doing this all the time. That's the thing that's exciting for me. Kansas State, a 4 seed at the bottom of that half of the bracket, played unexpectedly well in 2012 and 2013. Of course, Bruce Weber coming down from Illinois, taking over Kansas State for Frank Martin. Maybe not the most efficient team, but what do you see from Kansas State that you like?
Well, first of all, a great story that he got kicked out of there, the door hit him on the way out, and he gets down to Kansas State, wins the Coach of the Year award.
Yep.
And they run some great things on offense, things that I like to do with my team, where they'll do a pin down in the corner and then dribble pitch to that cutter, get a lot of great action out of that with the roller getting the hoop or three-point shots on the wing. So they execute very well. They're very tough man-to-man, and I really feel like they're going to go on a deep run.
Do you, as an anti-West Coaster, Rob, are you buying Kansas State, making it to Gonzaga, or does Gonzaga lose before then?
I think they can. Oh, I think Gonzaga loses before then anyway.
They're losing to the 8-9.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't think
Okay.
I don't think you'll see that matchup. But,
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Let's go to the bottom half of course, that. But you have Arizona and Belmont. Arizona, a team without perhaps a true point guard. Belmont, they play quickly. They lose Quanzo Martin. He takes over at Tennessee. Do you like Belmont as the double-digit team, perhaps, in this part of the region?
Well, I do. I really like the way they run their offense. It's very much of a Princeton high post or read and react kind of thing. It makes it very difficult on defenses to defend. So they're going to have their hands full with it, and if they can, you know, get on a good bit of a roll, get some rhythm going, and the defense lets them do that, then yeah, they can get out of that.
I don't think there's a lot to say about New Mexico. They're playing quite well. They played in a tough conference. Harvard just doesn't have the athletes, it doesn't seem. Let's talk about Notre Dame. Notre Dame, a team you've watched a lot of. Notre Dame, Mike Bray has not gotten out of the first weekend all the time. Is there a reason to feel good about Notre Dame more so this year than other years?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I like big man Jack Cooley. He does this every year, Bray. He gets one of these Herringody guys, these massive dudes. I don't know how this happens.
They're all named Luke, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Very biblical. But
yes.
you know, I think that he averages 13 and 10. The guy's pretty much a machine down low. It's really the prototypical Bray guy down low, but they also have Eric Atkins, who's a great guard, 6 assists a game, 12 points, really pretty well balanced team. So
what's their ceiling? Notre Dame?
Probably Sweet 16 again, I'm thinking.
Wow. Okay.
But, you know,
Even
I
as
think
7,
they
okay.
could probably get there.
Okay, moving on from Notre Dame, of course, we go to the very bottom. Ohio State as a 2 seed. They've got their own Marshall Henderson, except that he doesn't talk a lot, but I feel like he does this, and Aaron Kraft. Ohio State, a team that, I mean, Thad Matta, every year it seems like they're 1, 2, 3, 4, somewhere in there. So what are they doing this year that could get them to perhaps the Final Four again?
I mean, they look a lot like they do every year. They do a lot of screen and rolls across the top, and very much of a spread offense, which works when you are physically superior to a team.
Yep.
And so my question is when it gets down to the nitty-gritty and they need to create shots down the stretch in a 5-minute close game on the road or in a hostile environment, can they do that? Can they hit those shots they're going to have to make? And that's the only question, because defensively they're very solid, very tough, and they're going to be close in every game they play. That's as they get further and further down.
They need that second, third scoring option because they really don't get the easy shots. And on that very same note, of course, we have Luke Zimmerman from Land Grant Holy Land. That's very difficult to say. An outsider, but of course an SB Nation Ohio State insider, to weigh in on all things Ohio State and how far he thinks they can go in the tournament.
Ohio State defeats Wisconsin 50-43 to win the postseason tournament of college basketball's toughest league. The reward for their troubles? They head out to the NCAA's West region as the number 2 seed in that grouping. Many fans and analysts have quickly said that Ohio State should benefit from the fact that if they make it to the Elite Eight, on the opposing end could be the weakest of the 4 number 1 seeds in the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Unfortunately for Thad Matta and his group, as they well know firsthand, they faced Gonzaga in the round of 32 last season and found them to be anything but an easy out. That was before Kelly Olynyk evolved into a nascent potential finalist, and with the likes of Jared Sullinger and William Buford, who have since moved on to professional ranks. If Ohio State makes it that far, however, they'll first have to get past, obviously, Iona in the first round of the Metro Atlantic. Shouldn't be too terribly tough of a matchup for the Buckeyes. In the second round, they could face Notre Dame or Iowa State. I think the Buckeyes match up favorably with both of those sides. In the Sweet 16, where the Buckeyes would like to go for the 3rd straight season, that's where it gets tricky. On the opposing end in that round could be New Mexico and former Indiana point guard Steve Alford. Alford has coached New Mexico into what's considered to be one of the top teams in the country per advanced metrics, and the champions of both the regular season and the postseason of a league that was considered by some analysts to be the best in the country, even over the likes of the Big Ten. In Alex Kirk, New Mexico has an interior presence which could present problems for the likes of Amir Williams and Evan Ravenel, who have been inconsistent for the Buckeyes on this season. If New Mexico gets past Arizona or plucky Belmont is another question altogether. Arizona and Belmont could both also play potential spoilers to the Buckeyes, but if they can get past any of those 3 teams and meet potential Gonzaga, Pittsburgh, Wisconsin, or Kansas State, it's hard not to like Ohio State's chances in that circumstance. Whether they make it that far remains to be seen.
All right, so we like Wisconsin. We're not crazy about Gonzaga. Belmont appears to be the Cinderella team that could reach their pumpkin point. I like that, pumpkin point. See, because it's Cinderella, yeah. Mick Pumpkin. Oh, wow. That's a man thinking on his feet. So, of course, that was the West region. They're going to end up in Los Angeles. That's going to be a fun one. It seems more wide open than the other ones. All right. For Rob and, of course, Coach Nick, my name is Dan Rubenstein. That's been the West Regional. Stay tuned to SB Nation for all things March Madness, of course, brought to you by our friends at McDonald's.